competition. The kick-ass podcast that make you want to listen. The place where boxing fans and fighters rejoice. Thumbs up for Richie. You're listening to The Fighter's Voice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. Like our guest today, we're simply knocking out the competition. Our guest today is going to be in the main event Friday, September 15th, Fresno, California. No Town Throwdown 7 is going to be taking place. He's going to be taking on the undefeated Donovan Lights Out Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome our guest, Jose the Destroyer MEDRANO. Welcome to The Fighter's Voice, Jose.
How you guys doing? Thanks for the welcome. Happy to be here.
You know what, man? I can't help but noticing your shirt. It just caught my eye, man. Wild Card Gym. I mean, that's like the most famous gym in the world. Is that just some apparel that you're throwing on? Or, I mean, do you have access to that gym? Do you know Freddie? Do you know Marie? Do you know Manny Pacquiao? Who do you know? Talk to me, man.
I've worked out with Superman down there in Hollywood. I've met Freddie a few times. He's super great, super good person in person and in real life. So I just like to support their club, show that I'm wearing their clothes wherever I go.
No, that's good. I mean, I believe in supporting another person's gym, just, you know, like I'm supporting another person's podcast. Shout out real quick to the Porter Way podcast. Sean Porter, I got you, man. Thank you. Listen, enough about that. Let's talk about business, man. We're less than almost, you know, about a week in a day less. You're going to hear that first bell. You're going to be staring down the eyes of a man that has not faced defeat, of a man who's used to having his way, a man who used to push football players out of the way and has his way inside the famous Batman gym in Fresno, California, owned by Brian Williams. He's never tasted defeat. He's never fought a man like you, a man that's going to stand upright and look him straight in the eyes, because I believe you're both the same height. What makes you different than Donovan Lights Out Lewis?
I feel like I'm different, man. I've been doing this since I was 17, so luckily I was able to get into law enforcement, and I have a really big amateur background. Back in 2013, I was the Golden Glove champion for the state of California. I don't think Donovan's ever fought anyone with any real amateur experience, so I'm hoping to bring that to the table and see how he can handle it.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I may be wrong, but, you know, I say this often. I know people that know people that know people. And the report they're getting back from the camp is, hey, all you got to do is when you take a shot, counter him because he does not move his head. When you hear people say that, when you hear me say that, how does that make you feel, man? Is that correct? Or do you got a mole in camp? What's going on here? Because I know this big event is going to live up to all the hype and all the expectation.
I mean, I've been working with my coach on learning how to move my head right, so I don't know where he's getting that information, but I definitely move my head a lot more than I used to.
I mean, the fact is that, you know, he has that information, and he's going to take it back with him to camp. Now, it's not just a fight with you and him. Now it's a fight with everybody, because everybody's a suspect now, as they say in the police force, until proven guilty. You never know what you're up against. You never know who's on your team. You're either for me or against me. When you hear me say that statement, man, what's going through your veins? What's going through the bloodline?
I've been trying to keep a pretty tight camp. I've been working with Johnny and here in Bakersfield, so we've been trying not to put so many things out on social media. We've been trying to keep everything behind closed doors. So, I mean, he's in for a surprise when he gets me next week.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I received a video of you just hitting the mints today. I'm not going to say the source and where I received it from, but it was a pretty reliable source. And I was asked to post it, and I refused to post it until next week, because I am media, and that's what I do. Out of respect to both you, and if I would have received a video by Donovan, I would have done the same thing. So, you know, once that bell rings, I'm right down the middle, and may the best man win. But you have something that I've never seen another opponent have walking into this fight, and that's confidence. Where does that come from, and how big of a part is it going to play on the fight?
This confidence that I'm getting, man, I've been putting in work for 3 months. I started camp back in July, end of July, so I was getting ready for another Battle of the Badges show. Hopefully after this fight, I can keep fighting, and I mean, honestly, I might even go pro after. I don't know. I've been working with Olympic fighters. I've been working with national champions, pros, up and down the state of California. So I feel really confident. moving around well with them, and I feel like I'm ready to go for this fight.
You know what? I got to go back and I got to erase a little something that you said. You said battle of the badges. Our badges don't battle. Our badges throw down, just like the No Town Throwdown #7. There's always pretenders, there's always contenders, but there's only one undisputed, and that's the No Town Throwdown promoter, Ernie Hyman. He's always been able to put up a good crowd, sell out all the time. I believe this is sellout #4 since he's been doing it. This is his 7th event, only because he's been in bigger buildings. But we know this is already, that I'm hearing, already a sold out event.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I have a lot of support back here from Bakersfield. I have a bunch of family. You know as well as I do, being Hispanic, we have a large family. A huge crowd's going to be with me. I have a whole bunch of coworkers coming down. I'm expected to have around 100 people there, so hopefully we're all there and they're all showing their support.
Hey man, I know the way we roll. Actually, I just got a text right now that said, Richard, that's 7 events that are sold out. He said, don't forget the 2 at the tower. Okay, I stand corrected. So knowing that you're going to have a full-fledged crowd there, and they're going to be, it's going to be disputed. It's going to be half yours. It's going to be half his. How much of the crowd is going to make an impact on you as far as chanting your name, or maybe even chanting your opponent's name, or maybe even some boos here and there once you're introduced?
Honestly, once we're in that ring, it's just me and Donovan. I know everyone's there to support us, but I try to focus on just my opponent while I'm in that ring. I appreciate everyone coming out. I support all of his fans. I want to thank them for coming out, but I want to show them that our fan base here in Bakersfield is a little bit bigger.
You know what? Why was this fight so easily to make? To be honest with you, there's been times when Donovan's been on the main event, and for whatever reason, it doesn't go through because his opponent pulls out or something happens. And once his name was brought up, you didn't have any indication of backing up. You accepted this fight immediately. What was that phone call like once you got it to take on Donovan Lewis?
I was happy. I've been wanting to fight Donovan since last year in March. I wanted him to come down here to Bakersfield. I wanted to fight him earlier this year, back in April, here in our show, but he was unable to come. So as soon as I heard the opportunity was there to go down to his hometown and fight, I took it.
Well, I know they're going to have, the Law Enforcement Boxing Association bout at stake. And there's also going to be the WBC, the World Boxing Council green belt. The notorious green belt will be also awarded to the winner. 2 bouts, 1 fight. Someone's going to leave with a loss for the very first time, and someone's going to continue to have that O. How do you envision this fight taking place? And at the end of the day, where do you see this fight taking you as you go into the later rounds, the deeper rounds of boxing?
I can't wait. That's my goal. Hopefully we take it into the later rounds. Like I said, I've been working as hard as I can, and I feel like I'm ready to take into the deep waters and see if we can hang down there.
Now, I really don't know the background of your trainer. I don't know exactly who's included in your team. But I will say this. Those that train out of the Batman gym, Brian Williams, I mean, it's in the 80% to 85 to pretty close to 90 of the W's, getting the W's every single time they enter the ring. Why are you going to be different?
I'm going to be different. They might have Batman, but I've been training with Superman at Wildcard Boxing Gym. I mean, Batman versus Superman it's been around since we were kids, so I want to show them that Superman's training me a little bit better than Batman's training him.
Well, I like that. And that shows confidence, and that shows exactly where you're coming from, man. I saw you. I met you in person the very first time when we had the media day. Now, if you were not entering the ring, what would you be doing as far as sports-wise? I mean, you look like you could have been playing basketball, some football. What other sports, entices you, and where did you excel at in high school?
I was a football player in high school. I also played a little bit of soccer here and there, but honestly, I picked up boxing because of my brothers. Like I told you in person, luckily my brothers were really good at it, and I just wanted to follow in their footsteps, so I just fell in love with the sport, and I haven't been able to leave it.
If you were not in law enforcement, what would Jose be doing right now?
I'm going to be honest, I'd probably be in school trying to become a teacher or something. I love working with kids. I love teaching kids, telling them, showing them how to get out of the streets. I know how it was growing up for me in bad neighborhoods, and I've always wanted to be that person that can change their outlook on life and keep them away from that. You know what I mean?
Why did you decide to have your career behind the badge? The man behind the badge. What did you see as a kid? What did you see as a young adult? What made you the person you are today when it comes to law enforcement?
Honestly, like I was telling you earlier, I grew up in a really bad neighborhood. A lot of my friends were either in prison or buried. Unfortunately, some of them have passed away, and I really did. I wanted to be a good example to my kids. I just had a newborn daughter as of 2 days ago.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I appreciate it. That kind of slowed me down a little bit in training, but I've still been working my tail off. That's kind of the reason I started camp off early. I wanted to be able to spend this week with my daughter. Luckily, I brought her home today. Came over here to Tulare to spar a little bit, so I'm on my way back home. A little later than I thought. I would be home by now, but it was some great sparring here in Tulare.
You know, I'm looking at you. You still have that look of a father, of a parent. Come Monday, you're going to make that transition. You're going to start to become that monster that a lot of people become before they enter the ring. Tell us, what's fight week like, and what other preparations do you use once you go home from the gym and then going back to the gym? In other words, how do you turn it off and how do you put it back on?
Honestly, that's probably the most difficult thing I've had to learn how to do. Back here in Bakersfield, I'm in the gang unit, so I'm always at work, 24/7 at work, always on my phone. I have to learn how to balance that with my family life, with a newborn that I just had a few days ago, with training. It's my life. My schedule's just so busy. You know what I mean? I've kind of had to learn how to balance all that together, but luckily I have great people behind me. I've Jonathan Salcido as a mentor, and luckily working with these kids has given me a lot of inspiration to get back in this ring and give it my all.
Hey man, I mean, when you watch boxing growing up, there had to be someone that inspired you back then. What's the fighter that made you want to put the gloves on and fall in love with the sweet science?
Honestly, I had quite a few. This is probably a very unpopular opinion, but I really love watching Floyd Mayweather fight. I love that he had that little cockiness about him. He had that slick movement. My current favorite fighter is Tyson Fury. He went through a lot in life, blew up to 400 pounds and cut all the way back down, made it to become the world heavyweight champion, and in my opinion, he's the best fighter. We also have the Canelos, but I would say my two favorites are Floyd Mayweather and Tyson Fury.
What exactly do you grab from Tyson Fury? There has to be something that just stays with you, something unique that he does that you kind of picked up, and you tell yourself, hey, this is pretty cool, I'm gonna hold on to this.
Honestly, the struggles that he went through, I know that I've gone through a lot of struggles in life. He battled with a lot of addiction. Luckily, I've never had to battle with that, but I can only imagine how mentally and physically, what's the word I'm looking for, draining that is. I'm just so happy to see another person that went through all that be able to come back and succeed in life and become the world heavyweight champion of the world.
And what about Floyd Mayweather? What is it that's so unpopular about him, but yet what about him, captivates you?
A lot of people didn't really like his arrogance. A lot of people didn't like that he would flash his money. A lot of people called him a cherry picker, but I love that he was able to come from a rough neighborhood. I've also met his father, and his father's told me about their life and upbringing, and he's told me, hey, Floyd really was that flower that rose to the cracks, if you know what I mean. He's just a great. I think he's really inspirational because of where he comes from, and the neighborhoods that he came from remind me of the neighborhoods that I came from.
Well, I mean, look at the job that you're involved in. You're definitely staying true to your roots, and now it's your opportunity to give back. What do you expect to give back to all the fans, all the supporters that show up Saturday, September 15th? I'm sorry, Friday, September 15th. Friday. I'm already, I'm already thinking of Saturday, because I'm already thinking of once that job is done and I'm having a cold one and I'm relaxing probably with you or in Donovan, because I got to take a picture with both you guys, just chilling on my own time, man. But that's what I like to do. So let's talk about you. What do you plan to offer the fans, the followers, and the supporters once that bell rings? What can they expect?
They can expect the best fight they've watched. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think Donovan's faced an opponent like me before. So it'll definitely be something different for him. And all of the people that have watched him fight before. I think it'll be something different for them as well. Likewise, I don't think I've faced an opponent in the ring like Donovan. Donovan has a record of 9-0. I'm only 1-0, so I haven't fought anyone as good as Donovan. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I just tell them expect to see fireworks. It's going to be a really good fight.
You know, what do you say to the naysayers that say, well, he only has one fight? And, you know, Donovan's experience. This fight isn't going out of the first round. I mean, what do you have to say to them? Because, I mean, people are going to talk. There is going to be critics out there. And even though this is a law enforcement bout, this is the main event. This is Fresno, California, and it's going to be packed. It's going to be jam-packed. And I was just informed right now that there's only 10 tickets left, that they made room for 10. I thought it was 20, but 10.
You guys are in for a show. It's going to be a good fight. I can't wait.
Well, that's good, man. And I know everybody's going to be, expecting fireworks, expecting the main event to live up to the hype. But you know what? Let's not forget about this Sunday, too, before we move into this. Actually starts today, before we start in next Friday. Football season's kicking off, man. I know you're an NFL fan. I know there's a team out there. Who do you follow? Who do you watch, and why?
I love the Colts. I grew up a Niner fan, but back in 2005, I believe I was in the 5th grade, I watched the Indianapolis Colts beat the 49ers, and I just fell in love with the Colts way back then, and Peyton Manning. I was always one to say, hey, you got a team, you got to stick with it. So even though they're doing pretty bad right now, I mean, I'm still a Colts fan at heart, but the Niners have that second spot.
No, that's okay. You know, I'm a Cowboy fan. I get my heart broken every year, but I still have high expectations, and we'll see what's going to happen. I mean, you know, we kick off against the Giants, man. But I want to give a plug again and let everybody know: Law Enforcement Boxing, the No Town Throwdown 7, Friday, September 15th. Tickets are still available. There's only 10 left at $35 a ticket. It takes place at 712 Fulton Avenue, Full Circle Brewing. The doors open up at 5 o'clock. The first fight starts at 7 o'clock. And in the main event is going to be Jose Medrano taking on Donovan Lights Out Lewis. Jose representing Bakersfield PD. Why Bakersfield? I mean, you could have moved anywhere, or you could have got a transfer, or professionally, you know, there could have been some job offers. Is Bakersfield the area you grew up in, or you just have a heart for Bakersfield, or you want to make the difference there?
No, that's a negative, sir. I grew up in Visalia. I used to train out of the Northside Boxing Club in Visalia, California. About an hour away. It's about an hour north of. It's halfway between Bakersfield and Fresno. It's a little town. I grew up there. I just couldn't see myself doing law enforcement in the streets that I grew up on. Like I said, I grew up with a lot of friends that are either involved in gangs or have now passed away, and I just felt like Bakersfield was a bigger city of more opportunities. My wife also went to school down here. She's studying to become a lawyer. So I said, hey, let's just go down there and start a new life. So we started a new life here about 4 years ago. Luckily, I've met nothing but great people down here, and I started my own little family here, and so I'm happy to be here in Bakersfield.
No, that's good. And you know, Fresno plans on adopting you as its very own once that bell rings, because, you know, we're right down the middle. We're very welcoming. We support our guests, and, you know, there's going to be that home field advantage with Donovan Lights Out Lewis, who's a former Fresno State Bulldog. He also played football and very athletic. His brother also played football and also entered the MMA arena. And his dad also played sports. Knowing that he comes from a sports background, how concerned are you about him having that colorful record? And a lot of it's a mystery going into this fight. How concerned are you about this?
Honestly, I'm not really concerned. I know I've been putting in the work for it. I know I've been training my tail off. And like I said, I grew up doing this since when I was 17. I climbed up the ranks at the age of 18. I feel like I was pretty good back then, and I feel like I'm at a pretty good level now.
What do you say to the officer that wears the badge that says, hey, man, you know, he if he can go in the ring, man, what does it take to get in the ring? What advice would you give him? A first-time officer that wants to go in there and just, you know, mix it up with another officer inside of the ring.
Be dedicated, man. I mean, can't play boxing. So, I mean, this isn't a sport that you can just go play with a few friends. This is a sport where you got to really dedicate yourself and work out from the minute you get to that gym and show that you really want to do this. You can't just go hang out, text on your phone, be on Instagram. You can't be one of those boxers. You need to be that. You need to show that dedication and that will to want it.
Yeah, I want to know a little more about you, man. I mean, without giving too much away, what's going to be your walkout song? What color trunks you wearing?
I'm gonna come out to El Sinaloense by Banda Recodo. It's been one of my favorite songs. I know one of my favorite fighters, also Mikey Garcia, came out to it a few years ago. It was a pretty epic ring entrance, so I'm gonna come out to it. My trunks are red and black. Um, I've always been fond of fighting out of the red corner for some reason. I don't know why, since I was young. So I just really want to come out. I'm gonna bring a Tejana and all that. So I'm trying to bring that Mexican pride out in me.
That's right.
Show that I'm a real Mexican fighter.
Hey, man, shout out to Mikey Garcia. You know what? I'm going to send a video of this to Mikey Garcia, and I'm going to give you the microphone right now. If you can give a message to Mikey Garcia, I'm going to make sure he watches it because I'm going to chop it up and I'm going to send it to him. How has Mikey Garcia inspired you? 4-division world champion. The mic is yours. What do you got to say to him?
Hey, Mikey, échale ganas. I met you a few years ago at the beach. I was out there with my family. I don't know if you remember me. We took a picture. I've loved your style of fighting. I have nothing but respect for you moving up 2 weight classes for that big risk. But, I mean, you're still a great fighter, and you're one of my favorites, man.
There you go. I'm going to make sure he sees it, man. There was talk that Mikey was scheduled to fight. It wasn't announced, but there was the rumor because I'm kind of close to his team and close to the other opponent's team. He was supposed to share the ring with Manny Pacquiao. That didn't happen. So then the name Regis Prograis was starting to surface. It just didn't happen. But it's up to Mikey what he decides to do. I still think he has one left in him, but you know what? Mikey loves retirement. He loves living life. I spoke to him in San Bernardino, California with House of Champions, Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy. Mikey loves living life right now. He has a chance to get on his boat, spend time with his family, and be a fan of the sport and just relax. You know what I mean? So it must be nice to never have to work a day in your life. Or when you do work, you're never working because you love what you do. You never work a day in your life.
That's 100% correct. Once you're working and doing something you love, you're never really at work.
Well, listen, man. Right now, Donovan's going to be looking into this camera. What do you got to say to your opponent?
Hey, Donovan, I'm happy to fight you next week. I mean, hope you've been working your tail off, man, because I know I've been working mine off, and let's give these fans a good show.
Listen, you can't do this alone. There has to be some people you want to give a shout out to, whether it's sponsors, supporters. The mic is yours.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Clean Eats Meal, SQ Inc., Herrera Electric, Mr. Bubbles, Car Detail, Blessed Barbershop, Bakersfield Cell Phone Repair. Thank you guys for all your sponsorship and all this help along the way. I'm going to represent you guys great in Fresno next week.
Exactly. And I want to give a shout out to our promoter, Ernie Jaime. He's kind of the guy behind the camera, the guy behind the scenes, very humble. You would never even know that he is the promoter putting on this event. And he promises to bring, as he always does, a very exciting event. When we were sitting down and talking about it, we put our eyes together. I mean, I'm sorry, our heads together. Yeah, we could put our eyes together too if we see something we like. But he said before the first show, he said, Richard, I want this show to be different. And I said, Jaime, it has to be an amateur show with a professional atmosphere. It has to be, we don't need 15 fights. We don't need 20 fights. We don't need people getting up, getting bored and leaving. You want to keep it 6 to 7 action-packed fights where people can still have a good time afterwards and enjoy every fight coming up rather than falling asleep. And, Jaime got that. He ran with it. And, Ernie's doing a great job as a promoter. What's your relationship with him? And is there any kind words you have for him?
Yeah, I want to thank you, Ernie, for the opportunity. I've heard nothing but great things about you. Thank you for letting me be part of this No Town Throwdown number 7 in Fresno, California, and allowing me the opportunity to fight Donovan Lewis. I promise you I'm going to give you my all, and I'm going to give your fans and everyone coming out to support you a great show.
Hey, you heard it from Jose Medrano is going to be involved in the main event Friday, September 15th, taking on the undefeated Donovan Lights Out Lewis, taking place in Fresno, California. Full Circle Brewery promoter Ernie Hyman. It's going to take place. There's going to be fireworks. So you have not bought a ticket. You got, just a few days or hours or minutes before these last 10 tickets leave, because it's going to be sold out. You can't fit anybody else in there. And I'm sorry, we're going to be turning people away. So get your tickets while they're still there. And remember, hey, if you're not in Fresno September 15th, then you're not anywhere. I want to thank you, Jose, for being our guest on The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And we're like you, Jose. We're simply knocking out the competition. In the best part of the show,
Thank you,
as always, Jose, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember,
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, the special guests, and all the crew, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.